Hi and welcome back to another lesson. Today we're going to look at chord progressions that share a common trait, which is that their bass moves in a very fluid and harmonically pleasing way. In all of the introduction melody I've played and progressions, and also throughout this video lesson, I'm going to go through a total of 5 such different chord progressions, and I'm also going to have 3 bonus ones at the end, which sort of do the opposite. And I'm going to first show you or walk you through the progressions themselves, then I'm going to talk a bit about how I played them, and then in the last and third part I'm going to talk about the sort of the opposite or ascending chord progression concept. Okay, so let's start with the first chord progression, which is the following 4 chords. It starts with a C major over a bass of C. Now I'm playing here an inversion of the C major chord, and it's okay if you've never seen this idea, you can just follow along and play what I play in the left and right hands. So a C major over the bass of C. The next chord is a C major over the bass of B flat. Then you have an F major over the bass of A, and finally an F minor over the bass of A flat. If you look at the way the bass notes move for this progression, they go from C to B flat to A flat. So that's a very sort of smooth progression that helps the different chords flow into each other naturally. The second chord progression I'm going to show you has 8 chords in it, and the chords are the following. All of the progressions, by the way, are in the key of C major, I should point out. The first chord in this progression is a C major over the bass of C. This is followed by a G major over the bass of B, then an A minor in the right hand over the bass of A C major in the right hand over the bass of G. You can see that I'm using a different inversion of C major here. I used this inversion first and now this inversion. The next chord is an F major over the bass of F, followed by a C major over the bass of E, a D minor 7 over the bass of D, and then a G major over the bass of G. There's a little variation of this where the C major over the bass of E is replaced by an A minor over the bass of E. The entire chord progression sounds like this. Again, you'll notice that the bass note in the left hand has this very fluid motion to it. The third progression is going to be a variation on the second. It's going to have the first 4 chords, but at the end we're going to substitute the last 4 chords for a D minor, a D minor over the bass of C, a G major over the bass of G, and a G major over the bass of B, which resolves back to a C major. So this is a variation. You can use either the second or the third variation in many cases. The fourth chord progression is going to be a minor one, and it's going to sound like this. The chords I'm playing are an A minor in the right hand over the bass of A, This is an E augmented over the bass of G sharp, a C major over the bass of G, a D dominant 7 over the bass of F sharp, and then basically the last four chords are the same last four chords from the second progression. An F, C over the bass of E, D minor or D minor 7, and G major. So you can see that you can mix and match when you have these 8 chord progressions. You can take the first chords from one and attach them to the 4 chords, the last chords from another. The 5th chord progression we're going to go through is the following. A C major, a G over the bass of B, G minor over the bass of B flat, A dominant 7 sus2, which immediately resolves to an A dominant 7, and then a D minor, A augmented C over the bass of C sharp, D minor over the bass of C, and G major. And this again resolves back to a C major. So this is kind of like a little bit like a David Bowie kind of progression. At least to me. In the second part of this tutorial, I'd like to talk a little bit about how I play the chords and the melody and so on, give you some ideas on how to approach that. In the initial demonstration, I played a very simple melody that repeated itself. The reason I chose it is that it's again very simple and repetitive, so it lets us focus on the left hand. The melody is just and so on and so on. It also had a minor variation which sounded like this. And then the last part was just like the first, just an octave lower. So let's look at the left hand. Let's look at what I'm doing with that. Basically, the left hand is mostly arpeggiating the chords. Now, let's go over the first chord progression, which also opens up this demonstration initially. So I'm playing here a C major, a C major over the bass of B flat, F major over the bass of A, and F minor over the bass of A flat. That's our first chord progression. Now, to see how I selected my arpeggios, let's look at what I'm doing in the left hand. Start with the form of a C major chord. I'm going to start with one that has the C for its bass note, because again we want to make sure that the lowest most note, our bass note, does this sort of smooth motion. So I'm starting with the root form of the C major chord, and I'm taking this middle note, the E. Well, I have a C, an E, and a G. I'm taking the E up an octave, and basically what I can do is just alternate between these notes, or even just play them once. So for the C major, I'm just playing this arpeggiation. The next chord is a C major over the bass of B flat. So all I'm doing is I'm taking the C major chord, I'm adding the B flat for the bass, I'm omitting the C here, and I'm taking this E up an octave. It might be a bit of a stretch for you if you're not used to this sort of arpeggiation, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. But it's something that is, a good exercise to get your fingers used to, kind of. The next chord is an F major with, again, making sure that the A is in the bass note. I take the F major chord, I take the middle note, which is a C. I have an A, a C, and an F. I take this C up an octave. And then finally, for the F minor over the bass of A flat, again, make sure that the A flat is in the particular form of the F minor chord you're playing. This chord is made out of A flat, C, and F. Take the middle note, C, move it up an octave. And here's your arpeggio. You can further complicate this if you don't just stop with this arpeggiation, but you maybe alternate between other notes in the chord. So after playing this, I'm back to the G, then I play a C, and the G again, E, and G. Same for the next chord. There's no real prescription for this. You can just play the different notes in any order you want from the chord you're playing. For the next chord, the F over bass of A, and then for the F minor, so it's all about arpeggiation. I'll also link down below to another lesson I've had on arpeggiation that will also help you sort of hone in and work on your chord arpeggiation skills. In the third part of this lesson, we're going to take the concept we've just encountered and turn it on its head in a sense. Basically, we've seen these chord progressions that have this smoothly descending bass line, or and so on. Now we're going to fix the bass, keep it constant, and actually move the upper note of the chords in a smooth way. Let's start with the first example. In this example, I'll start with a C major over the bass of C, followed by a C augmented over the bass of C. So I'm taking the G here and moving it up a semitone. Then an A minor over the bass of C, and a C dominant 7. You can either add the 5th degree, the G, or not. The 5th chord is an F over the bass of F, so an F major over the bass of F, F augmented over the bass of F, D minor over F, and finally a G. If I play it together and I also arpeggiate it, it might sound something like this. What I'm doing here is I'm simply hitting the uppermost note of the chord, the bass, and then rolling in the notes of the chord itself in between. So in this case it's a G, C, and then G, C, E, G. So I'm kind of arpeggiating the chord itself. Another example, this is a variation which is going to have the same first four chords, and for the last four chord it's going to have a D minor over the bass of C, a B flat, and a G major over the bass of B. So I'm kind of combining both ideas here. I have a descending bass and an upper note that moves smoothly upwards. In the third variation, I'm going to just take a simple C major chord and then play an A minor, again keeping the bass, the C, fixed, and then a C major 7, and then a C major. So basically just playing a C major and I'm moving or adding sort of an upward moving note to it. This can also go downwards. This kind of reminds me, by the way, of a Monty Python song. If you recognize it, just write it down in the comments. So I hope I've convinced you that by smoothly moving either the bass note in some way or the upper note, you can create these very interesting and fluid chord progressions. I hope that this lesson has given you some food for thought, some concrete examples how to play them, and a demonstration at the beginning of how it all kind of comes together, and that you've learned something interesting. That's it. I'll see you next time.